Welcome to the final part of Magnolia Woo Unfolds It All by Chanel Miller.
The California Closet. For a long time, Magnolia had thought it was unproductive for Iris to dwell in the past and talk about California if she wasn't there anymore. But maybe all Iris wanted was to have someone hear all the memories she was carrying around. Maybe what Iris needed was for Magnolia to be her bamboo stick, someone who didn't try to make her feel differently, who just stood by her side. Magnolia remembered that Iris had lived in California only place she felt calm. Mom, I need to do something for Iris. Can you help me clean out our supply closet? Mrs. Wu had her phone tucked between her right ear and shoulder, hands draped over her other shoulder, while she punched something into the computer. Mom, said Magnolia, tugging on her shirt. You do it yourself? Said Mrs. Wu. No, said Magnolia. That's why I asked you to help me. Not right now, I'm busy, said Mrs. Wu. Magnolia could feel her skin getting hot and felt her toes touching her face. Fine, I'll do it myself, said Magnolia. She threw the door open and left. 10 minutes later, she was back with 2 bags of cat litter, 4 arms shaking from weight men. She dropped the bags in a pan, then dragged the brooms, bucket, lint rollers, iron, machine, and hanger out of the supply closet. Covered the corner of each cat litter bag and began pouring them onto the closet floor. Magnolia, what are you doing? Said Mrs. Wu. It's for Iris, said Magnolia. Enough, said Mrs. Wu. Do this outside. It has to be in here, said Magnolia. I'm creating a Californian future. That's ridiculous, Mrs. Wu. You're making a mess. Leave me alone. I can do it myself. You never hear from me anyway. Nonsense. I'm always here. Where else would I be? Said Mrs. Wu. You never hear here, said Magnolia. Here? What is here? Said Mrs. Wu. But Magnolia had burst past her mouth to fetch one item. Speak clearly, Magnolia, said Mrs. Wu. Say something, but you say it all in your way. Say it to me. But Magnolia refused to face her mom. What could
Have you ever been in a situation like this where you're deeply intense, having some intense feelings or emotions, and your parents are trying to stop you and have you explain, and you're never here? She's trying to emphasize that even though her mom is literally there, she's not mentally there or emotionally there for her. Have you ever gone through something like this with your own parents? I'd have to make a connection here and say that yes, I feel like I was probably Magnolia's age, middle schoolish times where I'm disputing with my sibling or just having a disagreement or a lack of support with my parents, and it's frustrating and it's hard to explain.
that I definitely have to be power? You treat everyone and everything else as more important. Magnolia yelled. You're not important? You're the most important, said Mrs. Wu. Let it feel like this. You never stop to be with me, do stuff with me, sit and talk to me. All you say is, I'm busy, don't do this, why are you doing that? Magnolia returned to the supply closet, flapping one towel furiously in the air, trying to get it to lie down flat on the improvised stand. She tried once, then twice. Mrs. Wu snapped the towel out of Magnolia's hand. Stop it, said Mrs. Wu. Ah, the cat litter is too chalky and powdery, said Magnolia. Does this even look like sand? Give me the towel. Magnolia was panicking, her heart racing, her scalp itching from all the thoughts buzzing around in her brain. There was too much to solve and to mend, and she didn't know how to do it all by herself.
What do you think Magnolia should do in this situation? What would you do? She's frustrated, her thoughts are buzzing around. She clearly needs help. What is the best option here?
Magnolia, what's going on? Said Mrs. Wu. It's too hot, yelled Magnolia. My layer of sand is too thin, and Iris is gone. I'll keep that. I've never fought with a friend and I've never been ready to do it, but now you're just running around and independent. You don't have any idea what I'm feeling. You know, somebody told Iris and her mom to go home, and now Iris feels lost, and I feel like there are people who don't want us here, treat us like nothing. Don't you ever get mad? Don't you ever want to yell back? It's too much. You shouldn't have to take it. And Ms. Lamb shouldn't have to clean her window. And now I need to recreate California, so please just let me do that. Magnolia heard without reading them and touched my arm. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Somebody's here. You can go head down, said Magnolia. Mrs. Wu looked at Magnolia, and her mouth expanded into a large circle as she yelled, "Close!" But the sign said, sorry, goodness, we're outside the door. "Close! Bye-bye," said Mrs. Wu. Mrs. Wu took out the purple towel, smoothed it out on the big pan, and said, "Sit." Magnolia lowered herself down, and as soon as she became still, the grief and fatigue seemed to hit her all at once, and she began to cry. Mrs. Wu positioned herself beside Magnolia, cradling her beneath her arm. "Sometimes people can be mean, yeah?" said Mrs. Wu. "Shout at us, insult us, treat us as less than. It's not easy. It's stressful, and that we feel it," she said. "But I know something nobody else knows, that no matter what bad things happen, we already won. And New York City is my battle. My secret is that I am the luckiest person in the world."
Now, I shared my connection with you that I could connect with Magnolia when she was so frustrated. I could do that. I could feel like that too. I can now make a connection to her mom because I myself am a mom. And as frustrated or as silly as my boys can be, and I can get at them, at the end of the day, I am the happiest person knowing how lucky I am to have my boys.
Magnolia let herself move into her mother's arms, but the panic drained from her body as her mom held her securely. "You know, when I was your age, I always felt like I knew something more about you. I was always searching, going anywhere I could to see what I'd find. And now look, I was ready. This whole life was waiting for me here. Out of the Hudson River, and all the boats that pass along it, out of the sun and the tulips, clean water, and streetlights. I'm the whole city, and I have you." Magnolia sniffled. "You know, when you were born, rose-scented carnations out front to celebrate your arrival. Levi knitted an orange blanket. Mr. Mateo gave us gentle shampoo when you had a dry scalp. Lisa helped me with my English, checked my spelling, showed me how to register for school. They look out for us, and now Iris is part of this family. This is your home. Nobody can take that away from you. And me and Dada, we care. We care so much. And we stick together no matter what." Mrs. Wu liked Magnolia. Magnolia nodded and took a big breath. Then Mrs. Wu released her and started crawling around the sand. "This beach is like a grainy little prison. You're going to need more sunlight. Go get the lamp on my desk," said Mrs. Wu. Magnolia hiccuped as she laughed, shocked as her mom sprang into action. "What? You think I've never been to a beach? In China, we used to go all the time." Magnolia had never imagined China as tropical. The next minute, Magnolia had plugged in the desk lamp as her mom laid out 2 peach-colored bath towels. Magnolia drew seagulls on cardboard and set them out. Mrs. Wu hung them from a hanger with string, then turned on a fan to create a soft breeze, while Magnolia played a clip of ocean sounds off the computer. "Corn dogs," said Magnolia. Iris also mentioned eating corn dogs and sandwiches. "We only have time to eat sausage," said Mrs. Wu. Within a few minutes, Mrs. Wu had thrown on an apron and pan-fried the sausages. setting them in a bowl next to the bonfire. Finally, Magnolia used her finger to carve "Welcome Home" in the cat litter stand. She drew an exclamation point and used the seashell as the dog. Magnolia and Mrs. Neeley stood with their hands on their hips, admiring their creation. No, almost always here, Magnolia nodded. Good, said Mrs. Neeley. She brushed her hand. Now, take care of your business. Iris had just walked into the laundry room and saw them standing in the closet. Magnolia nervously gestured toward one of the towels. "Have a seat," Magnolia said. "Come on." Iris slowly examined the details. Looking forward, the plastic can, and the fluorescent sunshine. She sat down. "It's not much," said Magnolia, "but I want you to feel at home here. I'm sorry for what I said." Iris nodded. "The ocean sounds are nice. A little like TV static, isn't it?" "I'm sorry too. I was just scared I was going to lose you to Jessica." "I admit the ocean sounds like a flushing toilet," said Magnolia. Iris smiled. The two of them sat side by side on the towel, watching the seagulls wiggle from the breeze of the wind. "Knock knock," said Mrs. Neeley. "The sausage is getting cold. Eat. Also, Iris, the sock escaped from your mom's laundry the other day. Don't forget to take it home." Mrs. Neeley handed Iris the red sock with yellow X's sewing into the heel, then left them alone again. "Whoa, that's kind of funky. Did you make it?" said Magnolia. Iris laid the red sock in her lap, yet fidgeting with one of the loose threads, then shook her head. "There used to be 3 of us in California," Iris said. "Me, my mom, and my dad. My dad had a temper. Like once, I wanted to show him how soft my new sweater was, and rubbed it against his cheek. I didn't know the tag was so attached, and it scraped him and he lost it. Never listened." Iris wound the red thread tighter around her finger. "I never knew what would set him off. He'd raise his hand like he was going to hit me, but he'd never bring it down. I just waited for the day you were. When my mom decided she didn't want to keep me down, Iris rolled up the sock and unrolled it again, smoothing it flat before continuing her story. "One day, my mom asked me what I thought of the 2 of us moving to New York, but I'd stopped speaking by then. I hadn't said a word in months. Being silent meant I never said the wrong thing. So my mom made me put it on my left hand. This." Iris put her hand into the sock, raised her left arm, and made the sock open and close sound. "Mr. Kessler, that's the name I gave you. And one night, after one of my labs races, my mom came to my bed and asked if she could speak to Mr. Kessler. So I put him on my hand. My mom turned to Mr. Kessler and said, 'What do you think about moving to New York?' Mr. Kessler whispered, 'Let's go.'" Iris paused her story and looked at Magnolia. "Is that crazy?" Iris said. "Not at all," said Magnolia. Iris made Mr. Kessler's skin smaller. It was easier to squeeze through the sock. Like it was mean, but not mean, said Iris. It could express things I couldn't. Anger, worry, thinking. It's part of why I wanted to hear to itself. You never know how much a small thing can mean to someone. Sock was valuable with my voice. Anyway, Iris going to me. He's obviously retired now, isn't he? Iris started taking off the sock. "Wait, can I say something to him?" said Magnolia. Iris hesitated, then lifted her red hand back in the hand. Magnolia looked straight into Mr. Kessler's star-shaped eyes and said, "Think for helping my friend. She's the smartest, kindest person I know. New York would be sad without her. Mr. Captain nodded. Then Iris unpeeled him from her hair till he was inside out, tucked her away, rested her head on my friend's shoulder. All of the anxiety Magnolia had retreated, the overwhelm, the fear that things would never be right again, seemed to walk away with the coffee sounds of Anthony as she sat beside her best friend on a pile of hot letters. The final sock. After sculpting a lopsided castle in the sand and tanning themselves in the bright glow of the light bulb, Magnolia and Iris dusted off their clothes and stood up for their final mission.
Who do you think the last sock is going to belong to?
We walked back into the laundromat, picked up the knapsack, and I saw Jessica, seated in a fold-out chair. "Hey, I convinced Sunny to let me have a free afternoon," said Jessica. "I was hoping to join you for the sock fitting." Magnolia looked at Iris. "You could use some help," said Iris. The final sock was the one Magnolia had found beneath the washing machine, lame, thinned out from overuse, and covered in dust. There was no pattern, nothing distinct about it, and Magnolia was relieved Iris was back, because she had no idea where to begin. "I'm stumped," said Magnolia, peering closely at the sock. "Well, have you ever tried smelling?" said Jessica. If there was anything Magnolia had learned, it was that people could surprise you. Before Magnolia could respond, Jessica had pressed her nose up against the rusty sock, flared her nostrils, and taken a big inhale. She sneezed so hard it sounded like her brain exploded. But following that sneeze came a scent. According to Jessica, the sock smelled unmistakably like coconut. Coconut did not grow in New York City, but coconut-scented products were abundant. If anyone knew anything about coconut-scented goods, it'd be Ali, who ran the bodega on the corner. Ali sold every item under the sun: grapefruit, blue steak, hockey sticks, scotch tape, chocolate, shampoo, and turkey. He was the one who donated the bag to cat litter to Magnolia. Ali had a cat named Pocket, lived in the store, and was known for stealing tiny items from customers' pockets, like pen caps, hair clips, credit cards. Mr. Pants and Pockets were good friends. The narrative that dogs and cats were enemies was quite outdated. When Ali saw the three of them come in, he said, "Things went well, I see." Magnolia smiled. "Well, you need to smell every coconut-flavored product you had, so we can return this song." Ali did not think his request was strange. Being a customer who bought candy season, an artist who bought jars to collect his tears whenever he cried at the beauty of a sunset, a girl who bought bottle caps for the knobs of the time machine, and a bus driver who bought lottery tickets every year on his iguana's birthday. People came in for all kinds of needs, and Ali never asked any questions, just committed himself to helping whoever walked through his door. Within a minute, Ali had lined up coconut water, coconut oil, and coconut shampoo on the counter. They uncapped the bottles and took a deep inhale from each one. They looked at one another, then all shook their heads. None of the scents matched the socks. Pockets meowed as a customer walked in. "Hey," said Louise, smiling wide. "What are you all up to?" Iris gently nudged Magnolia. That was the nice thing about New York. It was common to run into someone you knew, but you never knew if it'd be someone who'd sour or brighten your day. Luckily, this case was the latter. "Guess what? My dad said I could start polishing the floors," Louise said, raising his eyebrows. Louise grabbed a green bottle of non-frenzy floor polish off the shelf. The label of the floor polish caught Iris' eye. Silhouettes of tall fronds with black spheres beneath them. "Can I see that for a second?" said Iris. Louise handed Iris the bottle of frog pen before polishing. Iris unscrewed the cap and sniffed. Not what I was expecting. Coconut, Iris said. Coconut, provolone, pine trunk. This is it. Then why would the sock smell like frog pen or bottle? I guess so. Not sure, said Magnolia. But we'll spend the rest of the afternoon figuring it out. Can I come? Said Louise. Magnolia's eyebrows lifted. A clattering sound came from above. His pocket sprinted along the top shelf in the dusty sock of her mouth. The pocket slipped down and plopped the sock into the water bowl, batting and splashing it in the water. No, said Magnolia. The sock lay draped over the edge as if relaxing in a tiny pool. Magnolia rushed to pick the slopping sock out of the water bowl. The water had washed off the dust, revealing something she couldn't see before. A faded bumblebee sitting in that spot, beside the embroidered letters J-A-N. Is there anyone at their school named Jan? Said Magnolia. Louise and Jessica squinted, thinking, then shook their heads. Not sure, but there's a lost and found school, said Jessica. We could take it there. Down the sidewalk they Magnolia, Iris, Jessica, and Louise. Magnolia noticed that the shadow they made on the sidewalk was a massive gray blob. At the beginning of summer, she had a single long shadow. Now her shadow was the size of a baby elephant. She was part of a group, a super squad, and none of this would have happened without Iris, who had saved the idea that Magnolia once tried to throw away. When they got to the empty campus, Magnolia spotted Mr. Ishioka out front. Mr. Ishioka was known for keeping the school so clean you could lick every surface, but Magnolia didn't recommend doing that. Now he was standing atop a ladder with a paintbrush, adding a fresh coat of paint to the school mural. The mural pictured Earth surrounded by kids holding hands. If you went to any school, you would never hold a hand like that. So cheesy. The mural had been there for ages, and Magnolia wished Mr. Ishioka would let it be, or at least let his favorite be. Well, look who it is, Mr. Ishioka said. Mr. Ishioka dipped his brush into a bucket of green paint and pointed at the far end of Earth. Do you all see that little island in the tree shaped like a seaport? That's Japan. And this pointed toward the lower Earth, where I was born. Whoa, said Magnolia. He looked at how far Japan was from New York City. Magnolia knew her parents had been born in China, the massive moon shape to the left of Japan. She thought of her young mom, who was courageous enough to leave home and cross that vast blue ocean from here to build a hill. Magnolia pointed to the left side of the United States. That's California, where Iris is from. Wow, you live there? Said Louise. That's so cool, said Jessica. I've always wanted to go. Wonderful, Iris, Mr. Ishioka. Well, we're happy you'll be joining us for the school year. Well, what are you all doing here on the next summer break? We were hoping to drop this sock off at the lost and found, said Jessica. Iris held up her sock. Mr. Ishioka's eyebrows nearly popped off his head. My sock? He said. You're Jan? Said Louise. Your name is Jan Ishioka? Mr. Ishioka laughed at his face, turned toward the sky. No, my name's Stephen. He tossed Magnolia his key ring. Ron's key contains your answer, he said, nodding toward his yellow janitor cart, stocked with mops and rags and bottles. Magnolia squatted beside the cart as everyone huddled behind her. The small cabinet door swung open to reveal a single faded sock with 4 letters embroidered into it. I-T-O-R. Iris held the other sock next to it. N-N-I-O-R. said Mr. Ishioka. Now for your reward. He planted both hands on the handle of his janitor cart and began rolling it toward the gym. Follow me, he said. As they walked through the double doors of the gym, Magnolia heard the squeaking of sneakers and thudding of a basketball. Aspen was alone, practicing by himself. The basketball ricocheted off the rim, and when he turned to catch it, he saw them and froze. His eyes went straight to Magnolia, as if he was trying to gauge whether she'd spill the story to the rest of the group. To put him at ease, she made the hush gesture, and in return, his whole body began to shake. He started dribbling again. It's time for demonstration, Mr. Ishioka. Clear the floor. The gym went silent. Aspen, Magnolia, Iris, and Jessica huddled together in rapt attention as Mr. Ishioka stepped out of his sandals and tugged both gym socks onto his feet. He lifted a bottle of non-frenzy floor polish from his janitor cart and poured a perfectly round puddle onto the floor. He stepped directly into the center of it. Cue the music, Mr. Ishioka said. Magnolia didn't know what he said. Oh, you better press play on the stereo, he said. Magnolia pressed play, and the air erupted with violence. Mr. Ishioka began gliding across the floor, as graceful as a swan in a pond.
Sorry about the horns. It's our tornado siren. Once a month this happens, and of course it's going to do it right when I'm reading. But have you ever slid across the hopefully tile and or wood floors and either cleaned them with your socks or with something else? I've seen even with, if you can make the connection, toddlers, believe it or not, or crawling infants. They kind of wear this Swiffer-like onesie, and so when they're learning to crawl and they're going everywhere on the floor, they're almost like cleaning up the floor as they crawl around.
They were swimming. This is a special technique that has been passed down by janitors for decades, he yelled over the blue. Every night when the kids go home, I put these socks on, cover the floors with polish, and slide through the halls. Mr. Ishioka began skating backward in large figure 8. Lately, if I have one sock, I've had the hump. It doesn't have nearly the same effect and takes 18 times as long to clean. He leapt into the air, completed a triple axel, and landed smoothly. But now, thanks to you, I'm back to business. He ran, then slid on his belly like a penguin, all the way past half court. What about your mop? Iris called out. Why do you have a mop in your car if you don't use it? Oh, that? He said. That mop is actually a microphone. Mr. Ishioka skated over and plucked the white ropey head off the stick of the mop. He pulled the black foam spear out of his pocket and screwed it on and said, This is for carry mostly heavy metal. We flip the trash cans over to make drums, and then all the teachers party. Party, said Magnolia. Every Monday, snacks included. Mr. Ishioka took a glorious final lap, arms spread wide, then slid to a stop and bowed. The fire head burst his thought. Stop, Saul, said Magnolia. Reese gave him another high five. That afternoon, as the sun lowered in the sky, painted the building's colors, Magnolia, Iris, Jessica, Aspen, and Louise leapt across the sidewalk, arms outstretched, twirling in the air. They were winded and laughing from their clumsy attempts at figure skating in the street. Iris dribbled Aspen's basketball. Jessica slung the knapsack over one shoulder. Magnolia told them her mom made the best noodles, and they all agreed to come over for dinner next week. One by one, they split off to go home. The sky dark, the city twinkling. Finally, there was only Iris and Magnolia. What's left in the knapsack? Said Magnolia. You see, a seashell and some socks, said Iris. See you tomorrow? Always, said Magnolia. Now, standing alone outside Peaceful Couple's farmhouse, Magnolia looked through the window. yellow square in the blackness. She watched her mom brushing Mr. Pants behind his ears, thought about the way her parents tended to everything they touched, taking in the mess of the world each day and making it better again and again. Somewhere in the city, Carl had his chess pieces tucked snugly inside his book. Rosa said he made different plans before locking up. Tito wiped the counter clean. Lisa cracked open a paperback with a trade rag full. As Liam could have reached for Iris, hair still wet from her tears. Magnolia walked into the laundromat, bell tingling above, and wrapped her arms around her mom. "Where's Dad?" she said. "Hanging out in California." Magnolia opened the door to the closet. "Alan?" said Magnolia. She was surprised to see Alan, but even more shocked to see her dad, wearing a pink knitted bikini top over his shirt and connected to a pink cape draping down his back. "It's a bikini top with a towel attached, so you can lie down wherever you want at the beach," said Mr. Wu. "Isn't that smart?" Alan was beaming. "Iris had your mom doing this," said Alan. He held up a scrap of paper with Rosa's root taped to it, captioned, "We're rooting for you." "Talking to you and Iris made me feel like other people might actually want to see what I do." "Even I did," said Mr. Wu. Magnolia nodded. "I know," she said. She thought about how she also knew that the school janitor was an elegant figure skater. Ashton's favorite place in the city was a bookstore, just as I missed her mom. And Magnolia's mom loved big soda. She knew that just below the surface of a person, there were endless unexpected layers and stories, pain and longing and dreams, and how grateful she was to have lived. As for herself, she found plants for her bamboo stick, her rubber pond, her beach bag, her soft yoga, Iris. This was Magnolia's first summer as an NYC soccer player, and she now understood that every lost spark led to a new beginning.
The end. What a beautiful way to end the story. There is an author's note that I will not read, but if you'd like to pause this, you can read it, as well as the acknowledgements page. In the end. Well, what a lovely story. I absolutely enjoyed how the author shared ideas like Magnolia has found out all these different things about different people and how she's gotten to know them on a more personal level. And even though maybe it's just a glimpse of their life, she knows that they have pain and unexpected layers, longings, dreams. And now she has, because of being a sock detective, been able to uncover some more truths about people. How cool. Now, if there was another book, a part 2, do you think there would be more socks, more missing socks that you'd have to find? Do you think instead of socks, it would be scarves or shirts? I mean, she works at a laundromat. Do you think there's other missing things that maybe Magnolia Wu Unfolds It All Part 2 would have? What do you think? Overall, what was your feelings about this book? Is this a book that you really enjoyed and that you'd probably read a lot more like this? Did you like Chanel Miller's writing and storytelling ideas? I really thoroughly enjoyed this book. I think it's interesting to see things from a different culture point of view. Growing up, my family had our own washer and dryer, but not everyone is fortunate to have that in their house or apartment. And so even owning your own business, that's a whole other thing. My family, my parents aren't business owners. And so exploring what it's like to have your parents work for a business like that, it's interesting to be able to see their perspective. Thank you so much for reading with me, and I'm so proud that you just finished another book. I hope you have an elevated rest of your day.